I talk with some of the guys that write on a very blank basis, though. I'm just going to be like, straight up, I'm going to tell you stuff. You might already know this stuff, but I'm going to say it just so it's said. And I remember at one point I messaged, I was like, dude, listen, like, NA has double E limbs. They have every game streamed. They have co-streaming. They have all this shit. Like, it just looks like nobody cares about you. And they took that very to heart, because it was almost like, we are like, everyone is really trying to make it work.
Yeah. All right. Something to bear in mind. We're going to keep moving on here as well, because we spent weeks. I mean, we had Ryan Central on here as well. We spent weeks sort of discussing what was going on in Europe, because you guys have some incredible games and they just weren't being cast. They weren't being covered, even, you know, to the extent of Freaks for You getting involved. A lot of like the play-ins or the sort of the qualifiers leading into challenges proper, we weren't getting to see it. Obviously, for a lot of people, that was, you know, that was missing out on a lot of really valuable content. They really wanted to see these teams. So for stage 2, week 2, EU challenges, or they've announced that there would be co-streams. So Hyper, you were involved in that. Ryan Central was there as well. Lothar and Zesht. So all of these. This is round of 64. So this is going back quite far. Are these all co-streams done by you guys individually, or is there any involvement here from Freaks for You, or is this purely just you guys doing your own thing?
Just a graphics package, honestly.
Okay.
So we're given and I guess this is kind of the gray line, right? Is where it gets the Riot label on top of a broadcast going out, whatever channel that's on. My understanding is that the whole watch party thing and the co-stream has some different licensing conflicts in EU. But the problem is I mean, not allowing that, and then us still not broadcasting, you know, from the start of the bracket to follow our team's journey. And actually, I mean, hopefully Mitch agrees with this. There was a load of teams I feel that we probably did an injustice by not covering, even though they didn't make it to the final stages, but we did an injustice by not following them on some of these upsets. I kept talking about at the start of the year, all I wanted to see was just like 8 different teams dick down G2, like at some point of the qualifiers, right? Because all of last year it was
Line them up.
It was boring, right? Up until first strike, but like we did some teams a real justice by not showing any of those games. And yes, that's because they didn't make it to the final stage.
Sure.
Yeah. It was really good this time, actually, because one of the games that we covered was even an Italian team called Lucky Boys, and they were really nice to watch. I had never heard of them. As a matter of fact, it goes so far as to say Tombas had never cast an Italian player. I'd cast the Vodafone National Italian Championship, so I had a little bit of an edge there. But outside of the national Italian tournament, I had never. Oh, it's a very small tournament. I had never. Point was, everyone in that was Italian. This is what I was getting at. It wasn't flexing the event. Other than that, I had never cast an Italian player in like 4 years in Counter-Strike. Never once even seen that flag up on HLTV. So it was really interesting then to get to see these guys. I didn't think they were going to do much. They played a really good game. And how many more teams like that have we missed over the last year, you know, or over the last, since we started open qualifiers? So it was really good to get to have a look at these guys, to have more streams for people to drop by in. And Hypoc, I don't think anyone had quite the same production as you guys did. That was the strangest thing I've ever seen, but it
one of my proudest moments.
Can I ask an honest question here for you guys? Obviously, this is some of the graphical elements that, and this really, I mean, I love this. This is also why Pansy never ended up casting Overwatch, by the way, because she didn't want to have to give up the Pepe. So I respect it. So obviously, yeah, you guys also, you had observers, which is fantastic as well. And obviously, Lauren sort of tweeted that observers make the show, and I tend to agree. Also, observing and casting at the same time. Yeah, I mean, not in a game like Valorant is one of the.
Not for me.
It is fucked up.
I was trying that at 3 a.m. yesterday in like a regular 10-man with my friends, and it was fucking difficult. Lothar was doing it too, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah,
it was hats to him to do that.
I mean, yeah, that is impressive to do that. Can I ask you guys honestly? My understanding is that this is for you guys' perspective purely a volunteer endeavor. Yeah, you're not getting paid to cover any of these games. Can you divulge that?
Wait, so who's that directed to, me or?
Yeah, so yourself and Mitch, or whoever's doing these like round of 64 streams, right? This is purely volunteer. It's not paid necessarily.
No. For this, we were paid to broadcast some of these up until the main broadcast went on. Again, it was down to us. Me and Lauren actually handled that. That was a fantastic one.
What the
Me and
hell
Lauren
is that?
actually ended up offering, to get Sapphire on board, get Ito on board, and obviously
Okay.
Mel as well. Basically just passed on any payment we would have. And I even said on stream as well, any revenue earned through the stream was going to pay to put on a good production. Because
Wow.
me and Lauren talked about it the first day, and we were like, what do we do? Do we cast, produce, and observe ourselves? And I basically said to her, I was like, fuck that. There's no way. I'd rather just
Sure.
have like a no cam stream where we chill and interact with chat and do all the things that you probably miss out on like I guess a main broadcast feel, right? Which is why we went with day one was
people
pretty
don't want
tame.
that half the time, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, day one we were pretty tame, but then day two everyone was just like, "Where's the Pepe?" It's like, "Where's the memes?" So like by day three, it was just like out of control.
Yeah.
So first of all, sorry, Mitch, you go. I want to hear.
No, I was going to say I think we were basically told that, like, obviously they wanted us to be available. They wanted to book us for those days so we wouldn't drop out to go do another event or anything like that. So that was where obviously we weren't being paid our full rates, but we were paid some compensation just to be around, and then obviously we got to do it on our channel. So beneficial to both parties.
Absolutely.
But then we were told, like, it's up to you what you guys want to do. So they gave us a lot of freedom, which was why Pepe's ended up on the stream. It was why we had the freedom to, if you wanted to, you could just keep the money for yourself, do the broadcast solo, whatever, or you could get on your buddies, get some observing going. And Jonas, I mean, he was doing something different. This is really interesting stuff because he has little screens up top as well. I loved it, man.
Yeah.
But that was it was a really interesting take on it because I've been involved in a lot of different aspects of a similar thing, like in Counter-Strike covering open qualifiers, but over there it's very much kind of, oh yeah, anyone can just jump on and do it. Whereas from what I understand, there's a lot of guidelines in Europe that have to be followed, so it's not as simple as them simply, and I think similar in NA, because they would leave themselves liable, so they have to have specific people, which is why only the VCT talent did it this time. I'd imagine in the future it will extend out to more streamers and all that sort of stuff. So that, and I think they used our stuff for clean feeds because there was also a ton of Spanish broadcasts, a ton of like Portuguese, like all the different languages had the rights obviously to rebroadcast ours into their language as well. So it was a really cool initiative.
Now, who was conducting this? This was Riot directly that were sort of conducting this, or was it Freaks? Who was?
I mean, they're kind of blurred. I think between
I don't know. I don't know who actually had the A for that happening.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch, but this pretty much came down like fairly last minute. It was pretty much like 3 or 4 days before the first day of round of 7,000 or whatever we started with, and they basically said, "Do you want to do this? Are you available? It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday we're going to put on an extra broadcast." Because originally none of us were actually scheduled, I think, like over the weekend. So it was literally 3 days before. They literally sent out a Discord poll, and it was like, I even asked us, like, when do you need to know? It was like end of day today.
Yeah.
So it was. I don't know who had the A for that. That came from Freaks, that message though. So
from what I understand, because I send a message consistently. I talk with some of the guys that write on a very blank basis. That I'm just gonna be like straight up. I'm gonna tell you stuff. You might already know this stuff, but I'm gonna say it just so it's said. And I remember at one point I messaged, I was like, dude, listen, like, NA has double E limbs, they have every game streamed, they have co-streaming, they have all this shit. Like, it just looks like nobody cares about you. And they took that very to heart because it was almost like we are like everyone is really trying to make it work. But it's all the different guidelines that they have to go through. They gave me a couple of examples for like, this is allowed in France, but it's not allowed in Germany, but it's allowed here. And so they've got to like make sure that they're not liable for any broadcast that's going out. And trying to figure it out is apparently more difficult in Europe than it is in America, where I think the guidelines are fairly similar across states, whereas in Europe,
they're federalized.
Exactly.
Actually,
whereas
a
here
lot of that stuff.
we have just Irish law, UK law, so you almost need an expert on every single one. That just goes to hell pretty quickly. So I know this is something that they were working on for a long time, and that was a criticism that I had very heavily, was like, why the fuck don't we have this sort of stuff? But when I spoke to them, they said that they had wanted to do it, it's just figuring out how was tough.
I mean, I've come back to this because I was a huge fan of NA last year, and it was kind of depressing, really, when the first few I guess events started happening in the EU, and it was like invite only, and it was the same like 6 teams just regurgitated. And actually at the time it was like rosters were just being recycled and stuff. NA was like 6 months comfortably ahead of EU in terms of like the life cycle, right? Loads of orgs coming in, Nerd Street just doing like event after event and building actually a huge platform ahead of like First Strike, right? Before that even was happening, that like it was there and it was way deeper than we had in EU. And on top of that, you know, watch party co-stream wise, it's like you think about it, it's we don't have like Myth, Ninja. We literally have Jonas in EU, right? Like who else would do a watch party and pull like 5K plus viewers on a stream in EU? It's the depth of the teams and actually the I guess influencers or you know personalities, talent streamers, whatever you want to say behind it. That I don't think it's as quick and as easy fix, but by preventing it, you stop any growth. You don't know what it looks like, right, until you allow it.
I mean, yeah, this is really interesting. I think it's fascinating actually how Riot have been able to work a solution to this kind of setup. Sorry, my noise gate's picking up a bit. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Riot. I think we've been really hard on them on this show. I think we bring Ryan Central in and we honestly just beat him down with like giving him shit about not being able to cast. The poor guy, he just fucking takes it like a champ. Obviously you saw there that he's been able to get involved in casting some of the stuff. Very buttoned up cast from Mr. Ryan Central. I appreciate the professionalism, but yes, I think the amount of memes that were spawned over the course of that weekend, obviously from the Highball Pansy stream, but also in general was fantastic. It's such a huge step for stuff in Europe, and I just want to commend Riot. Not only their local crew in Europe, but also their global team for being able to make that happen, because it is a huge step forward. It represents them absolutely listening and absolutely prioritizing the strength of their product in Europe. And it looks like this is a solution, while in the back end looks very complicated to us. It looks like a really appropriate and sort of proportional solution. So yeah, congrats to you guys. That's great to obviously see you guys get involved in some of those games, and obviously opportunities being extended to guys like Ryan and Jonas. I guess it seems, is there a difference as far as you guys can tell me between co-streaming and casting? Because I would have thought that Jonas would prefer to co-stream or to have the co-stream vibe. Instead, he was actually was casting it as a caster would.
So straight away they said that anybody with any affiliation could not do a stream on their own channel of a team they're affiliated with, right? So Lothar affiliated with G2, Mitch obviously affiliated with Alliance, Jonas and Liquid, right? So that's kind of the difference there. Was again over the weekend, Sunday, Monday, whatever day it was, we followed Liquid. Jonas was doing a watch party of our community broadcast. Community broadcast. I don't know if that's the right word, even terminology for it, but I think that sets a clear kind of definitive line. It then becomes difficult, really, where we go beyond that, which is Jonas. I'm absolutely sure. I mean, the guy sits and streams 7 hours of Valorant and then stays up and watch parties NA whenever it happens because he can, right? And because actually that's how we already know people love to digest their competitive broadcast that way, right? They want to sit with Jonas and shoot the shit, basically.
Yes, they do, yeah.
So the problem then comes with, well, Liquid are playing off stream. Nobody sees it. You haven't got somebody like, again, it's just mind blowing to me that you wouldn't want somebody like Jonas in general watch partying something, but also actually when he's watching a Liquid game, right? And I actually think his viewership was up on what he usually gets, just doing the watch party of our stream.
Yeah. And one of the things there in terms of why they didn't have Jonas from the start do that is because with the games that were going on, they wanted to have obviously as many streams as possible when you're in the round of 7 million, just to make sure that as many teams as possible get a spotlight. Then when we got to the end of it, it was like, okay, well, there's a couple of games going on, but for Liquid, obviously Jonas had gone without covering Liquid the whole time. His community is very much wanted to see him covering Liquid.
Yeah.
So then it made sense to, okay, we're gonna actually trial the watch party. We're gonna see how it works. Like if it messes with the viewership much, all the sort of stuff. Let's just trial it out here, like they did in NA the first time around. And from what I understand, it was a big success. I think they were very happy with how the whole weekend into Monday went in the watch party as well. I mean, if you look at the figures that Jonas got, it was definitely solid. And then obviously there was, I enjoyed clicking on Jonas's stream and just seeing his reaction to the Pepes as well. That was a beautiful thing. He was so confused at the start.
Incredible.
He was joining the stream to have fun too. I remember him chatting on Hypox stream too when Pansy was covering it. And I even saw like I don't know, I think it was fun overall. It was just nice to see the coverage of the matches too, and like even the Reddit clips that came out on Reddit after when I think it was Jonas doing the watch party of Liquid playing, and then it's
JD
his
uses
shock darts.
lineup.
Exactly. JD uses his
Yeah.
lineups to break the lockdown of Killjoy in A Link, and he's like, "No, it's my lineup." So just like the reaction was genuine. I think this is super cool overall for the European scene. And I think it's going to help in terms of those storylines and stuff like that too. Maybe if you guys don't have those watch parties personalities right now, like let's say there's no PewDiePie that's going to be doing right now, like a Shroud equivalent.
It's
But
Pansy
at
to do
least, yeah, right. But I still believe that this is going to be cool for the fans, at least of Valorant in Europe, to start building up with these and following these storylines of these teams that finally get coverage.
The thing that, and I guess this is a frustration on my part. It's like, how cool early on was it to see like Coach Myth, those streams and stuff, and then the banter thrown back and forth between like
Myth,
the
Ninja,
different
Ninja.
exactly, yeah. Like in EU, we just don't have that. Like we don't have somebody that could like stream a watch party for Fnatic or you know G2 do a watch party, and that was. I think you're going to credit a lot of that early growth, I guess, from just like people talking about it and that visibility in NA was like. Miss talking shit on Twitter about like Sentinels or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We missed that in EU.
Yeah,
You might have it. Bolster can kind of do it. Start it up.
I came up in Europe as a caster in the Overwatch scene, and we had the similar problems, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
geographical as well. There wasn't like as many huge personalities in Europe. European viewership also tends to trend also towards you know, Spanish or sort of Turkish or Eastern European viewers. So there's a language barrier there as well, and quite often. Like these people aren't incentivized to go to an English-speaking stream, A, because they can't understand English, or B, because they can't even type in their own language in the chat. Quite often, you see in these European chats that like other languages are discouraged from being used in that chat, which is just the kind of way it is. So it is the beautiful nature of the European Union. It is what it is, right? But it's really nice to see them coming up with a tailor-made solution for themselves, something that works for Europe. And yeah, I guess a lot of the big influences, right, are from NA, but there's no reason why we can't see some cross pollination and see like plenty of these casters or big names like Jonas sort of lifting up the scene. So it's a thumbs up from me.